Welcome to Smash Fiction, where we pit two or more fictional characters against each other in a battle of strength, or wits, or coming to grips with your now adult children with varying degrees of success, and see who would win. This week, old Han Solo versus old Indiana Jones versus old Rick Deckard. Dateline, The Final Frontier! Weeks ago, if you'd asked any Tom, Dick, or Harry on the street, you can bet your bottom dollar they'd have told you that the good old US of A wiped out the last of the Nazis back in 1945. But they'd be wrong. Little did the rest of the world know, but a small contingent of National Socialists escaped the defeat of their fatherland and established a secret base on the moon itself, where for the last several decades they've been building, training, and plotting. Flash forward to weeks ago, when the Fourth Reich put their plans into action. They launched a devastating blitzkrieg with their giant zeppelins and saucercraft, conquering major American cities and causing news broadcasters to revert to the mid-Atlantic accent of the 1940s. Worse yet, with Washington, D.C. captured, the Krauts were able to kidnap President James Marshall and take him back to their moon base. With President Marshall as their hostage, America doesn't dare fight back. All we can do is shake our fists vindictively at the moon in the sky. Why, even little Timmy is getting in on the shaking. That's right, Timmy. You show that moon what for. But thankfully, a new hope arises. A new hope, which is also a last crusade. And, a Bladerunner. Sorry, folks, my regular copywriter was too busy shaking her fist at the moon to turn in a finished script. Anyway, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, moments before the Nazis struck, NASA activated their super-secret super collider, opening up 3 simultaneous short-lived tears in the fabric of reality, depositing 3 bona fide heroes from other universes right on American soil. And maybe the picture of President James Marshall hanging nearby was somehow able to influence the people who were pulled through these wormholes, because each and every one of them was the very image of our Commander-in-Chief, plus or minus a couple of decades. Mostly plus. From the year 1959 came archaeologist, tomb raider, and university professor Henry Indiana Jones Jr. From the year 2049 came ex-Bladerunner and professional hermit Rick Deckard. And from a time and place both truly distant came former general and lifelong scoundrel Han Solo. All 3 men took some time getting acclimated to our present day, and when they heard that the president who bore their appearance had been captured, they stole one of NASA's rocket craft and made a mad dash for the moon. Sadly, it seems as though our over-the-hill adventurers came to something of an impasse on their lunar trip. They've arrived safely, but it appears as though some gray-haired chest-beating en route has ensured that each one thinks they can beat the others to the president first. This will be no small task. They'll have to fight, sneak, or disguise their way past the Nazis and their high-tech weaponry, all the while staying one step ahead of each other. They may all be silver-haired legends in their own worlds, but which of these septuagenarians is a bad enough dude to rescue the president? I have no idea, which is why we've gotten America's radio sweetheart Dan Mulcairn to judge this week's match. Advocating for old Han Solo is Claire Mulcairn.
Claire Mulcairn? The podcaster? No, the illustrator. Wasn't she a game designer?
Advocating for old Indiana Jones is Kit Mulcairn.
Why'd it have to be snakes? I love snakes! I don't want to boop them on their sweet little snoots.
Advocating for old Rick Deckard is Liz Logan.
For all intents and purposes, I'm basically the only person that actually likes Rick Deckard. And frankly, I'm okay with that.
In order to determine who goes first this week, I wanted to see how the advocates would do representing some of Harrison Ford's other roles. Kit was assigned the role of Detective John Book, Ford's role from Witness, who has to go into hiding in an Amish community. Kit attempted to recreate the iconic scene where the community raises a new barn, but the resulting structure didn't exactly end up matching the initial plans. "'Tis a fine pool, but sure 'tis no barn English." 1 out of 5 chin scars. Liz tried for the role of Jack Ryan in Patriot Games and had to do battle with IRA terrorist Sean Miller on a burning speedboat. Miller came at Liz with a pipe, but Liz yelled at him to drop the weapon, and Miller dove off the boat in a panic. 5 out of 5 chin scars. Finally, Claire was given the role of Richard Kimball from The Fugitive. Claire was cornered by Tommy Lee Jones at the opening of a storm drain opening out over a dam and leapt for it. However, Claire had first stopped by another Harrison Ford movie, The Mosquito Coast, and stolen the experimental ice machine from that movie. Having made a few tweaks to the output, Claire was able to transform the waterfall to ice, turning an almost certainly fatal drop into a delightful and exciting slide. The dam has since been purchased by Six Flags to be turned into an amusement park, so Claire has won an unprecedented 6 out of 5 chin scars for this challenge. Therefore, Claire will go first, then Liz, then Kit.
I'm very okay with this.
Great.
I'm more okay with everything.
Awesome. It's good to be positive about these things. Team Old Solo. Hey, you do get to shoot first.
Oh, that's great. All right, let's get this out of the way up front. Spoilers for The Force Awakens coming up. Everyone go see the fucking Force Awakens right now. Han Solo dies. I get it. I say this now because I was writing this thing, I kept on wanting to write something about how good he is at finding ways to navigate dangerous situations and make it out alive, and I have this premonition. I can hear this parade of naysaying chucklefucks out there saying, oh, does he always survive? Does he always find a way? So preemptively, if any of you try to make that argument, fuck you! Han has been a lifelong gambler, and he has taken many calculated risks in order to get what he wants. But the greatest loss in his life was losing his son to the dark side. So Han made one last gamble, double or nothing. He bet his own life, tried to get his son back, and based on how torn up we saw that Kylo was in The Force Awakens, I think it was fair to say that which way this was going to go was kind of a coin toss. But to claim for one instant that his death in this scene has fuck anything to do with the scenario, flames on the side of my face. Anyway. Why is Han Solo going to win this scenario? 3 reasons. The first is that he is a dirty, underhanded bastard. We all know about how back in the day he shot Greedo first. Around the time of Jedi, he seemed to be mellowing out a bit, but we see in The Force Awakens that old man Han is more of a tricksy scoundrel now than he has ever been. When 2 gangs show up on his ship demanding money that he owes them, and then also a group of dangerous monsters called Rathtars get unleashed on the ship, Han cunningly uses his multiple problems to solve each other, using the distraction of the Rathtars to get away, and even going as far as to punch one of the nearby gangsters and throw him in the mouth of a Rathtar to distract it. That is some dirty pool. That is killing a guy who is running from the same monster that you are so that you don't have to pay the guy back the money that you stole from him. The fact that Han is such a morally gray character here means that he is going to do things to win this match that his opponents wouldn't even think of. Do you know what other underhanded tactics we see Han employing? How about capturing an enemy and interrogating them? When Han sneaks into Starkiller Base, it turns out that Finn lied to him and he is useless and doesn't know how to disable the shields that guard the thermal oscillator. Thermal oscillator? Really, JJ? Anyway, Finn is useless, and the plan that Han went in with isn't going to work, so what does he do? He kidnaps Phasma, who in every other moment in both episodes 7 and 8 is a complete and total unflappable badass, but Han is able to capture her and get her to disable the shields. That means that if Han doesn't understand something about the scenario that he needs in order to rescue the president, which admittedly might happen, he will capture a Nazi scientist or officer and squeeze information out of them. Han's competitors in this match both tend to fail a lot and seem to be good at rolling with it. But when Han finds himself in an unwinnable scenario, he doesn't roll with it. He breaks the rules and changes the terms of the scenario. This brings me to my second point, which is the fact that unlike his competitors, whose skills seem to have dulled a bit with age, or at the very least stagnated, old man Han Solo is more skilled and more creative than ever. Twice we see him navigating crowded battlefields full of First Order troops who are all trying to kill him, and he pretty much effortlessly manages to kill everyone in his path without ever really being challenged, like way better with a gun than he ever was in the old movies, including a sequence where he shoots a couple dudes in quick succession, and then he instinctively points his blaster at a dude coming up behind him and shoots him through the chest without looking. That is some Hawkeye level bullshit right there. Also, when Han's ship is getting overwhelmed, he engages the Falcon's hyperdrive while in a hangar to make a quick escape. He later flies at Starkiller Base in hyperspace and comes out of hyperspace while in the planet's atmosphere at the last fraction of the second as a way of bypassing the base's shields. When Chewbacca is injured, Han picks up his companion's bowcaster for what is implied to be the first time and takes down a bunch of stormtroopers with it. Later in the film, he asks to use it again when he realizes this is the right tool for the situation at hand. Why does this matter? This shows that old man Han is more adaptable, more creative, and more willing to try unconventional tactics than his cockier and more stubborn younger self. One final point, this should be kind of a gimme, but the technology that Han is bringing and the knowledge of technology that he has is way superior to the tools and know-how of Indy and Deckard. Han Solo's DL-44 blaster pistol is definitely more advanced than Indy's old-timey revolver, and probably also more advanced than whatever near-future technology is going on inside Deckard's pistol. Also, something that might come in handy handy as you battle a technologically advanced army is maybe a knowledge of technology, and let's not forget that only one person here is also a starship mechanic. Who do you think is going to be the best at understanding the inner mechanics of how a space station operates, how the power systems work, how ventilation works? Who do you think is going to be the best at eventually stealing a spaceship and escaping in it? Who here has infiltrated many, many high-tech military bases that are being operated by various factions of sci-fi fascists? Deckard has fought technologically advanced foes before, but these are not normal technologically advanced foes. Indy has fought many Nazis, but these are not normal Nazis. These are space Nazis. Or perhaps space neo-Nazis, depending on your definition, and there's only one Harrison Ford here who has made a career of killing both space Nazis and space neo-Nazis, and there's only one dude here who is a bad enough dude to rescue the president in less than 12 parsecs. Indy wins in his movies by getting captured and helping his foes, and then just waiting for his highly self-destructive villains to kill themselves by trying to wield magic that they can't control. Deckard wins in his movies by either getting rescued by Ryan Gosling, or by letting the bad guys punch him until they die of old age. Old Man Han wins by being a crazy motherfucker who has spent decades as a criminal and decades as a general, and also by no longer giving a fuck and being willing to try crazy-ass plans that would scare his younger self even more than a barracks full of stormtroopers or saying, I love you too. This is the last hand of cards that Han is ever going to play, and he is going all in.
Great shot, Team Solo. That was 1 in a million. Team Old Deckard, you're an advocate. I had your job once. I was good at it.
And he still is. So, it's been a while, and I usually like to describe the characters I represent in extreme detail.
Yes.
However, we have a very unique match here where every character looks like old Harrison Ford performing a character study, so I'm just gonna not do that.
Oh, you can't tease us like that.
I think yours is winning in terms of potbelly, though. You could highlight that.
Yeah. Seniority? Anyways. The Honorable Rick Deckard has by far had to deal with the worst possible situations with hardly any support, unlike Indiana Jones and Han Solo. I'm going to briefly talk about their younger selves. Both Indy and Han have had tons of support characters when they have performed their coolest character actions. Who do you think was with Han on his Kessel Run? Which the completion of is up for debate anyway. It was Chewbacca. Who were some of the people Indy was with during his movies? Marion, who helped him out with that gigantic Nazi on the airstrip, that random blonde chick everyone forgets about, Sean Connery, and some random Asian kid. And this is when these two characters were young. They still needed all the help they could get. Now, old Han still has Chewbacca, and also has Rey, Finn, that hot pilot guide, the entire Resistance, and even Leia, bless her heart for taking him back. The bastard. Old Indiana Jones has Mac, who we can't even tell is a double agent. Marion, again, but I may have to give old Indy something. He's got to deal with Mutt through the whole movie that shall not be named, so that's kind of impressive. So there you go. I'll give you that. You know who Rick Deckard has? No one. Just the stench of his own farts in an all-you-can-eat drink bar in Apocalypse Vegas.
Oh, he has that dog.
You want to talk about a tough world to live in? Bladerunner has all of you beat, and it's totally worse than a Nazi base. Well, maybe not. Whatever, they're really bad. At least Han has a cool ship, and lightsabers exist. At least Indy has a whip, and can still rock a fedora. You want to talk about the absence of hope and still finding a way to survive and enact your vengeance and find your long-lost daughter? Spoilers, I'm sorry, I should have prefaced. Rick Deckard is a goddamn post-apocalyptic treasure. Also, can we talk about the fact that he impregnated and had a kid with a replicant, basically an advanced robot? Deckard's got some serious mojo. He was one half of creating an entire new freaking species, people, okay? This is so irrelevant.
Is this a virility contest?
You don't... Oh, just wait for the lightning round.
So now let's actually talk about Deckard in regards to our Nazi-based presidential rescue mission. Deckard is a detective, ultimately. He's all about following nearly cold trails and seeing how far Blade Runner's rabbit holes go. Before any of Indy's adventures, he's got support in helping him research, he's got access to tons of academic materials, not to mention the objects he looks for are somehow recorded in history and are static. Trying to rescue an actual live human being, not knowing about where you're going. If anyone is capable of thinking on the fly, it's Deckard. His world is completely different and it has changed constantly. So let's look at a specific situation to demonstrate Deckard's ability to infiltrate the Nazi base. For example, when Officer K goes looking for Deckard in Apocalypse Vegas, I'm really proud of myself for that.
You should be.
K knows something is wrong inside that mansion, but he can't quite figure it out. So unbeknownst to him, Deckard manages to sneak up on K without a sound. Literally, there is no discernible sound in the movie when Deckard appears behind K. You think some Nazi is gonna have better hearing than a replicant with top-notch software and engineering? Not to mention, how the hell is Deckard surviving in Apocalypse Vegas for so many years? And without his toasted cheese! Like I said, post-apocalyptic treasure. Now, in terms of rescuing the president, we know Deckard is handy and can easily whip up some improvised explosives, like he did with the booby traps he set up in the mansion in Apocalypse Vegas. TM. Just kidding. Not really.
That's your last one.
Even though he won't necessarily be able to use them in the way that he does in Bladerunner, you bet that he can gather some spare parts around a Nazi moon base and build a bomb that he can use as one hell of a distraction to grab the president and get out. We've already seen how his first outing in the first Blade Runner is basically one huge escort mission for Rachel. I don't know how Han or Indy will be able to deal with this unique situation. Han repeatedly gets easily caught off guard, whether it's gangs seeking to settle his debts or not being able to keep his mouth shut long enough before he delivers some random stupid quip that blows a disguise. With Indy, chances are he won't even find a Nazi uniform that actually fits him. Deckard is no fucks given Ford. And here I am. I'm sorry. I'm going to do it. Old Indy belongs in a museum, and Han belongs at the bottom of Starkiller Base. Oh wait, he's already there.
Team Deckard, you can keep at this or we can get a drink. You should probably get a drink. Team Old Jones, you call this archaeology?
My essay is titled, Why Indiana Jones is the Best Old-Ass Harrison Ford. Because fuck Rick Deckard.
Amen.
And please refer to episode 41 of Smash Fiction to hear me tear Han Solo a new one. Well, a new one. I put the new hole next to the one his son made for him.
Jeez.
Anyway, I guess if I have to actually explain to you, Your Honor, your handsomest honor, why an old-ass Indiana Jones is more than enough of a badass dude to save the president, and more of a badass than either of these even older-assed Harrison's Ford. Well, grab your faithful adventuring fedora, because here we go. In the opening scene of the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Indy has been kidnapped. Getting kidnapped is a really good way of getting into a heavily guarded Nazi base. Out of all the Fords in this match, Indy is the most likely to have knowledge to information that the Nazis are after. Not saying this is the only route he could take. He has and could again go the disguise route. I'm just saying he's got more options and safety nets than the other Fords. If Solo or Deckard try to get in by disguise, they'd be shot like the moment they got found out. Because they're worthless. Especially Deckard. Going back to that opening scene, we see that even at the ripe old age of too old for this shit, he's got enough endurance to be locked in the trunk of an old metal car, huffing car exhaust fumes the whole way into the blistering New Mexico desert. And yet he gets out, just a little greasy, but with more than enough charisma intact to put on his loyal fedora familiar. Yes, Indiana Jones is a fucking archaeology wizard, and his hat is his familiar, and if you have anything to say that isn't agreement, you can go kiss a Nazi. When Indy realizes the fake town he's in is right by ground zero of a test nuke, he jumps into a lead-lined fridge which goes sailing, tossing, and tumbling, shaking him like a James Bond martini from hell, and my dude lives to stumble out, and meets a prairie dog that will probably become the next Hulk. During the jungle fight scenes, he bests like 6 Soviet soldiers, men at their peak physical fitness, while fighting in the back of a Jeep. If that was too chaotic of a scene for you to chalk it up to his ability alone, my dude fights and bests a giant Slavic man, one-on-one, in an army ant death ring. After Indy won, the ants were so impressed they gave him his hat back. Is Indiana slowly acquiring Hulk strength after his run-in with a nuke? Probably. I feel like I've made this argument before at some point in Smash Fic history, but do you know how hard it is to hold up the body weight of a grown-ass man with one hand gripping a relatively smooth whip handle? The fact that my dude can still swing around like the wrinkliest Cirque du Soleil performer alone speaks volumes about his physical prowess. So enough about that. Indy is also brilliant, even at grandpa age, because he started adventuring as a kid and maxed out his investigation skill real early in life. If Indiana Jones played Clue, it would cease to exist. Like, everyone would forget it was even a thing it'd get solved so good. With his knowledge, quick thinking, and perfect situational awareness...
Which cannot be taught.
Thank you.
Been a while since we did that one.
He masterfully analyzes new environments and can formulate plans both beforehand and on the fly. He's got a PhD in archaeology and a master's in ruggedness. The man was practically sculpted from clay by the gods to be a thorn in the side of Nazis, and there's no other Ford here with the intelligence, nerve, drive, and youth compared to these older fucks to save President Ford. Oh wait, no. President Harris? Nope, that's also a real one. President Harrison Ford.
Team Jones, you chose wisely. Now, all right, clench your jaws, everyone, because we are heading straight into rebuttals. Let's start by piling on Team Solo.
So you talk about Han being like underhanded and adaptable and stuff. There's one major thing that happens when they land on Starkiller Base. Him, Chewbacca, and Finn, which makes me question everything about Han's modus operandi. So they land there, and then all of a sudden Han gets really antsy about Finn's plan. He stops Finn, questions what the hell is going on. Finn's like, Force. Han hesitates, thinks about the situation, basically thinks Finn is insane, and then goes along with it anyways. I mean, all Finn does is say, come on, and Han follows, like, the good support character that he is. I mean, if he's gonna hesitate like that when he's trying to rescue the president on a Nazi base, I'm not very confident in his ability.
What he knew going into that was that Finn was a former stormtrooper, and Finn stated in the mission that he knew, like, the layout of the base, and he would know how to shut down the shields and everything like that. And at that point, he didn't have any reason to doubt him. When they land, he starts asking him follow-up questions, because now it's time for the plan to actually happen. Now it's not just theoretical and they have to do it, and that's when Finn confesses that he doesn't actually know what he's doing and he can't do it. And at that point, that's when he pivots, and I mean, he has to go forward with it. They're just gonna like leave because they have to stop the base and everything, and so, but he pivots the plan, and that's when they decide to capture Phasma. And so, like, I think I don't really see any point here where he did anything wrong, and he actually ended up doing his mission despite the fact that there was an additional complication that he was going to have to deal with that he didn't know about going in. I don't see how this is anything negative about him.
You said Han's gonna have a better sense of future tech. Han's not even a good mechanic, though. And
this again.
Yeah, this
I re-listened
again.
to the old episodes of the old Han one. Sorry, go ahead.
I did say it. Anyway, space Nazis, schmace Nazis. If a goose steps, Indy's got the combination of stupid luck and amazing smarts to get through. Like, he can sneak through. Like, watch how people do things, figure it out. He's fucking brilliant. He's more brilliant than either of these two, especially Deckard.
Oh, man.
What's your point about Han?
Oh, you just made it sound like you had an advantage over the two of us because...
what I meant is that he's going to understand how space stations work. Stuff about, like I said, stuff about how, for instance, ventilation or power would work in a space station. Stuff that...
Not all tech works the same way.
It does not, but as I said, if he doesn't understand it, he can interrogate someone and figure it out, and he will have a better ability to figure this out than somebody from an earlier point in history. It's just that additional edge that he has. And it might be slight, but I think it's there because it's not the same technology, but it is just advanced technology, and he probably has more knowledge of this kind of thing than anyone else does. So,
or he'll fuck it up and need R2-D2 to hack into it for him. Oh, wait.
Also, all those systems are based around human use, so I think it would be fairly intuitive for my character to figure things out.
Okay. I mean, like I said, it's not that other people can't do it. It's not that he's like guaranteed to 100% do it. It's that he is more likely to be able to do it than they are. And I think that's kind of undeniable.
Any other points against Han Solo from you guys?
I rest my case.
Okay. Next up, everyone, start ragging on Team Deckard slightly more than you've already been doing.
Oh, yeah.
I never asked for this.
Just like old times, Kit.
I was thrust into this situation. Let me just state for the record.
No. I feel like we recorded you saying, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to represent Deckard because no one else likes him. That's what you said.
All right. How many ways is Rick Deckard useless? Let me count the ways. Hold on.
The paper.
All right.
Just so you know, Claire, there's no paper in Star Wars, so I'm gonna have to dock you a point there.
Yes!
That's true. All right, so he doesn't have that many fights in Bladerunner 2049. He loses a fist fight to Kay, and then basically the way that Kay convinces him to back down because he's not listening to him is he lets Deckard beat the shit out of him, and it just isn't really doing anything because apparently Deckard's not very strong. And then later he gets into a fight with two nameless goons at once and gets captured. And then, like, he's in a car and it's like sinking, and he's like tied up in like a seatbelt thing, and he can't get out of it. And then Kay comes in and breaks him out with his bare hands. And so, yeah, like, what does he do in that movie that's really that impressive? And I mean, there's the trap thing, but like in terms of his physical abilities, his fighting, his strength, that kind of thing.
So Kay is a replicant, so of course he's super strong and can rip things with his bare hands and take lots of punishment. But if you noticed, in my arguments, I didn't touch on Deckard's physical strength at all. I agree. He's weak. He doesn't have any gains, okay? But that's not how I think he'd win the situation. I don't think he's gonna get into a fight at all. His whole life, he's been on the run, trying to stay hidden, yada yada. He's gonna be sneaking. I mean, he was like that in the first Blade Runner movie, too. It was all about being, cool, calculating, getting in and out of situations, and that's how he's gonna treat this. Like I said, he's gonna do a distraction. He's very handy with that. He's good at flying under the radar. I don't care if he can beat someone up.
Well, I'll point out that no one actually falls for the traps that he sets in Blade Runner 2049. Kay notices them and then purposefully detonates them to cover his trail as he's running away from Deckard. So his trap that he sets ends up backfiring against him.
Again, there's no one like Kay on this Nazi base. It's all a bunch of Nazi goons.
You're right that we don't see Deckard fighting any normal humans. We only see him fighting replicants, but he does lose at everything that he does in Blade Runner 2049. We never see him succeeding at something.
I think that's irrelevant.
I think it's very relevant that he never succeeds at anything in Blade Runner 2049.
I've already explained what I think would be going on.
Before I make any valid points, Your Honor.
Oh boy.
Liz basically admitted that Deckard is slowly rotting in the ruins of Las Vegas with a dog and Elvis holograms as his only company, dreaming of the day cheese returns to the world.
I mean, same, right? That's what I'd be doing in that situation.
Yep, same. But we are not in that situation. We are so much more mentally and physically fit because we are not dreaming of cheese. We are living in a cheese world. And
Okay.
It's wonderful. Anyway.
Do you have points about this Harrison Ford match?
I'm just going to bounce a little bit off of Claire's statement because she did use one of my points. A very good point. That he got kidnapped. He got kidnapped. And he's supposed to rescue a kidnapped president? Like, if we're talking about Deckard from the first movie when he was like at his prime, we might imagine, he was shitty in that movie. He almost got killed multiple times.
This could be said for each of your characters when they were young. Hello, when they opened the Ark, what was Indiana Jones there? He gave himself up for a chick! Which was really romantic, but regardless.
Isn't that what yours does too?
If you can't rescue yourself, how the hell are you going to rescue somebody else?
Thank you, that supports my point.
No, that's both of you guys, I guess, because both of you got captured, but I was more talking about Deckard.
Okay, Han Solo gets frozen in carbonite. That's like the ultimate kidnap stone? Fuck you all.
But did Indy die? No.
Rick Deckard didn't die. Han Solo died.
All right.
What did I say,
think
Liz?
He's deader than dead.
I kind of feel like we're circling the drain on this argument, so I'm gonna move things along. We are setting our sights on Team Indiana Jones. Go for it.
So, I previously had the misfortune of representing Indiana Jones. And
Yeah,
if you
you
recall,
lost. That was funny.
that was the episode where not only did I lose, but I had so little to say on how he was better than Lara Croft, because he really wasn't, that I made this stupid fanfic thing about how he was going to get a bunch of allies with like a Kokiri and a Goron named Rock, and like...
And that was great.
I forgot about Rock. Oh, man.
I listened to that episode. It was great.
I don't see a problem with this.
I really appreciate your allies point.
All right, yeah, he's gonna get Nazi allies, I'm sure. But like, he's just so useless. Like, I get that. Like, look at Crystal Skull. If you recall, at the end, like, the bad guys in this one, it's not that he beats them, it's that he's running away from them the whole time, and he can't actually fight them in a straight fight. And then they kill themselves while they have him at gunpoint, like they fucking always do. That's how his movies always end. Like, he tries to save the one chick in, like, Last Crusade, he's reaching for the cup. Like, he doesn't actually ever beat of the main villains in a fight at the end.
Yeah, that's kind of the beauty of it. And first of all, what are you talking about? Like, I've mentioned like multiple parts of the movie where he fights other people. If he needs to fight, he can. And you said it yourself about like, he runs when he knows he needs to run. He fights when he knows he needs to fight. Like, he is brilliant. He has perfect situational awareness.
Yep, already used up your one.
I just want to pick up on the situational awareness point. He didn't even realize he was in a nuclear testing town. And then he runs towards a radiation cloud, mushroom cloud.
He doesn't run toward it. He just like steps toward it and go, why am I not frying? My God, I have powers now.
And the same person betrayed him twice, so where's that perfect situational awareness?
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
He did say in the movie that he had worked with that man for like 30 years with like no issues. So that was just as much of a surprise as...
That shit happens.
I mean, you get stabbed by your fucking Sith son.
Haven't you seen The Americans? There's long cons. It's a thing.
I don't even know what you're talking about right now.
It's a TV show.
What is that?
Oh my
Is that
god.
like some kind of visual comic?
It's a
Wait,
thing.
that comics are visual.
No, a TV show is something you research for Smash Fiction.
I swear I'm a human being.
I am one of your Earth humans.
I will point out, though, that Indy still does have a lot of dumb luck saving him. Like, he has the bit where, you know, he swings on the rope and, like, at the beginning on the rafters and, like, misses the car that he's going for and, like, falls on his ass, you know? And the whole thing...
Oh, gloriously.
Yeah, like, I mean, he still bumbles plenty, way more so than Han Solo does, who basically, as I said, doesn't miss a shot or, like, fail to beat anyone in any sort of fight or ever get captured or anything in his movies. Like, just his track record in the movie, even though he does win some stuff, you're right, like, it's still a lot more of an inconsistent record.
And when he bumbles, he kips up. It's, like, amazing. That scene you just mentioned, when he goes flying ass first through the windshield, he lands between these two Soviets, says some, like, quip or some shit, and then he uses old-ass crumbling fucking elbows to destroy their faces before he, like, jumps out of there, like, whoa! He's fucking dope. That's why people love Indy.
Let the record show that Kit just did a Zoidberg pantomime as she made that noise.
I mean, how do you not?
This match is really violent. It's something to say when Deckard's, like, the most pacifist. Like, this is weird. This match is weird.
I think this is what happens when we have returning characters and we've established, like, which hosts have, like, a vendetta against which characters.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you can tell.
Can I do one last point?
Yes, you have
So
time.
the one last thing I want to say is that a lot of the times when he wins, though, it's not because of his own skill. I can just list off some other times, like when the ants are coming for him and Ox, the thing that actually saves them is that he holds up the crystal skull and the ants all, like, part away. That also happens later when they get surrounded by a shitload of natives and Ox holds up the crystal skull and they all just part away. Like, there are times when his skill would not have saved him, and it's times similar to when, you know, when freaking God himself has to come out of the Ark and kill everybody, where he gets saved by a lot of, shall we say, Deus Ex Boxinas. It's like from a...
Yeah, I like that. I'll approve.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing. He's like if Black Cat didn't know she had powers, but still had them. In scenes where we see him kip up, so to speak, when he bumbles and kips up, like, he is acting, like, moment by moment. If the crystal skull wasn't there, he probably would have found some other fucking dope way to... He would have maybe climbed the Soviet guy to get away from the ants. I don't know. I'm not Indiana Jones.
The thing I just want to say is I'm of the opinion, and our judges can vary on this, I suppose, but I think it's pretty clear that I don't think that luck or always finding a way is a valid argument.
Yeah, we've already decided that. I concur.
I mean, we do have to base it on what we see, and we do see him when he doesn't have luck. He finds a way.
All right.
Casanova fallacy!
Well, we've seen fisticuffs, subterfuge, and wacky energetic fight scenes from one end of this Nazi moon base to the other. These three heroes don't know the meaning of the term past their prime. Sure, their backs will almost certainly be sore in the morning from all the jumping around, and their trick knees are back at it again, but that usually just means it's going to rain. Wait a minute.
Oh.
There's no rain on the moon. This is a space storm. And with a space storm comes the lightning round.
Oh, God. I'm scared.
I'm happy.
It's full of space storms.
I screamed at the coming of the lightning round, but I was in space, so you didn't hear me.
The door to the innermost room of the moon base slides open, and the three elderly legends limp their way in, pistols drawn. Sadly, they find that they are too late. A half-dozen bodies lie on the floor, one of them the undeniably handsome President of the United States, James Marshall. Marshall managed to take out the guards watching him, but not before being fatally wounded in the process. No. The Nazi threat has been defeated, but the president is lost. With his dying breaths, Marshall explains to his almost rescuers that he doesn't worry for his country, he knows that it will recover from this crisis. No, what occupies his thoughts in his final moments is his son, 9-year-old Adam Mayo Marshall. Adam is a bright, precocious boy, gifted with both physical athleticism and a prodigious curiosity. He has a good heart, President Marshall says, but he's still young and needs someone to guide him from childhood into adulthood. And since Marshall's canonical wife and daughter vanished into a narratively convenient plot hole years earlier, young Adam will be completely alone. Unless... All of the heroes here today have had, shall we say, mixed success with their own respective offspring. But this represents a chance to start over. Sure, they're a bit older than Adam's actual father, James Marshall, but as Marshall's counterparts from other universes, they are perhaps ideally suited to raising Adam as their own. What sorts of father-son activities will your old man Ford engage in with his new unexpected son? What important life lessons will he seek to impart to young Adam? Any good/awful dad jokes to share? And why is he best suited to becoming Adam's favorite of his 3 new dads? We are reversing things for the lightning round, so Team Jones will be starting us off, then Deckard, then Solo. Team Jones, take it away.
First of all, that kid's gonna get a fucking education. Unlike Mutt. Fucking worthless. Then, after sweet little Adam has gotten his PhD in archaeology or something equivalent, he's gonna go for a master's in fun, because they're gonna explore the world looking for more ancient aliens. You know, those long-skulled aliens were not the only extraterrestrials that landed on Earth. At least if the History Channel has anything to say about it. Oh, History Channel, you've fallen so far. Oh, God. I'm sorry I don't have dad jokes for you people. It's okay, you can at me. You know what? Actually, if you come up with good Indiana Jones dad jokes, please at me.
There you go. The gauntlet is thrown.
Important life lessons. First and perhaps only, wear a condom. Jesus Christ. This way, one of your lovers can't hide your child from
So
you.
you don't get a greaser Shia LaBeouf coming back to bother you in like 15 years.
Yes, exactly. And why would he be the best dad? Well, when he found out he had a son, he immediately gave a shit about that kid and wanted him to get an education. Just boom, drop of a hat. But really, he's cared about and kept alive every fucking annoying little kid that's hung out with him. So
he didn't let them die.
He's a natural dad. And I mean, he had a bad father himself. He had a bad relationship with his father. So a lot of times you learn from that, and you want to do better as long as you know about your child, Marianne.
All right, well, with that stewing resentment out of the way, Team Deckard, what do you have to say?
Rick Deckard is going to be the worst father ever. There is no going back. There are no second chances. Dear God, this kid is gonna go back with Rick Deckard to Apocalypse Vegas, or wherever the fuck he is in time. And the first thing Rick is gonna do is not say a word, walk over to the frying pan, grab his bread and cheese he stole from the Nazi base, and throw it on the pan, and look at the kid and say, "Do you know how to make toasted cheese?" And that poor kid is gonna say, "No." And Rick is gonna be like, I have to teach you. And then he's gonna start teaching him. And then he's gonna be like, oh my God, this is what Rachel and I used to do. Now you remind me of Rachel. And then he's gonna have an existential crisis. And then he's gonna scramble the kid's records. And then the kid's gonna somehow become a psychologist who writes dreams for replicants. And then Deckard is gonna find him 25 years later. Trust me, kid, you're gonna be better off. That's your life lesson. Stay the fuck away from Rick Deckard.
Wow, I have never seen a reverse lightning round pulled like that. That was very impressive, Liz.
She's just embracing the void now.
I think you guys have finally broken her with all your relentless psychological assaults.
He's trash. He's just trash.
All right, great. Let's move away from this as quickly as possible and call child services on the way. Team Han Solo, what do you have to say?
So I think Han's going to be an awesome dad. In terms of father-son activities, there's a lot of useful life skills that you can learn if your dad is a smuggler. You can learn things about how to smuggle candy in secret compartments in your backpack into class to sell to other students. He can also teach him how to hide in secret compartments in his locker when bullies are coming by patrolling the halls. And he can also teach him, since Han's such a great pilot, he can teach him how to ride his bike really well. There's going to be no kid in the world who's as good at rolling and pitching and yawing his bike.
I just got this image of old Han Solo standing in front of a blackboard with like a pointer pointing at the words roll, pitch, and yaw in front of a very bored son.
And then in terms of life lessons, I think that Han is going to be, he's not going to be like an angry dad who like yells at his son when his son misbehaves and does something bad. He's just going to adapt the tactic of like slowly walking towards him with his arms open, looking like he's about to cry, and like just guilting the kid into like feeling so bad. And either it's going to work or the kid's going to like stab him through the chest. But either way, he's just going to like walk towards him and be like, son, it's okay. You know, just like give him those big baby browns. I think whatever color eyes he has. So, and in terms of dad jokes, he does have some really good ones. For instance, why did my last son cross the road? To get to the dark side.
Wow.
Oh.
All right.
And then he's going to say things to him. He gets, when his son gets home from school, he's like, my first order is that you rake the leaves, and my second order is that you do the homework.
Well, good job, guys.
That happened.
Multiple times weaponizing the most heartbreaking moment I've had watching a movie in the last 2 decades.
It's been
Man.
rough.
They may be getting too old for this shit, but all 3 of these men have proven that heroism still burns brightly within their relatively shriveled hearts. Do hearts get shrivelly when you get old?
Yeah,
Everything else does, yeah.
I was going to go away and figure out who won this match, but I may end up falling down a rabbit hole and see if I can find some hard science on heart shriveling. So I'll be back with
A chin
some
scar!
sort of information in a few minutes.
I feel utterly defeated.
Do you?
Holy shit. Okay. I was reading through this and like, trying to come up with arguments and
You
I'm
were not
like,
prepared.
oh my god. Everything we've said is true. Rick Deckard is useless. He does nothing!
In Blade Runner 2049, definitely. It's like arguable he's kind of a little bit more useful than the old ones, but like, yeah. Like, in terms of matches that like hurt me, so I've been with all 3 of these characters in matches before. We did the Kusanagi versus Deckard one, where I was on Team Kusanagi with Kit, and that just killed us, Kit. We tried so hard. Like, I can't.
That does still torture Dad to this
Does
day.
it? Oh, good.
Yes.
Friggin' punk. The other ones is like, yeah, because I did Han Solo, and I went back and I re-listened to the Han Solo one, which had, all the stuff as I said about roll, pitch, and yaw with the Millennium Falcon, which was totally borne out, by the way, when you see Last Jedi, in terms of how it flies. Like, it had another scene when it was going through, like, those crystal caverns, and I was like, yeah, it's doing the thing that I talked about, where it outmaneuvers smaller ships, because it can, but anyway.
It does the thing nobody was gonna argue it with
I know,
about
but
anyway.
it still made me happy.
So did either of you actually watch the movie that shall not be named?
Crystal Skull or Iron Sky?
Crystal Skull.
I did.
did.
Yeah. I actually, I wanted to see it again because I had seen it only once before in theaters when it came out.
Did you enjoy it?
It started off fine. It started off like it really feels like an Indiana Jones movie at a lot of points.
Yeah.
But at a lot of points, it's very George Lucas-y.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of those movies, it reminds me so much of like the prequel Star Wars. 'Cause it's like someone should have told him no multiple times.
It's miss and miss and hit and miss and miss and miss and miss and hit and miss and hit. It's like kind of, yeah.
It could have been a lot better if people were just telling him, hey, maybe don't do that.
Why the prairie dogs? What's the payoff with the prairie dogs? You just have prairie dogs and some of the seeds and then, yeah. Did anyone watch Iron Sky?
No.
I did. I thought that was going to be my secret superpower, was that I actually watched the movie that these space Nazis are from. But yeah, it was all right. And
Did it not help you?
I had a few facts in my back pocket about the specific nature of them and their technology that I could have brought out, but like nobody fought me on it, so like I didn't really have to. But yeah, it's not a bad movie. It's fun. It's very dumb but silly. Yeah, it's another kind of hit and miss movie, but it's very fun. It's very.
So that's what this is from? Because honestly, I thought it was a Wolfenstein reference because in the New Order, BJ Blazkowicz, like you actually go to a Nazi moon base.
Oh, there's so many space Nazis, my dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's Iron Sky, which is it's a weird movie. It's basically, there's Nazis make a moon. I mean, Dan laid it all out in the opening thing.
Who's in that?
It's not an American movie. It's like Finnish or something. Finland and Germany, I think, bit together.
Oh.
Finland. It's like a few different countries up there, and there's a few American actors, but they weren't any that I knew.
I kind of wish I had gotten a chance to see it, but I was like, I didn't really have enough time to watch all those movies. Like, oh my god, Blade Runner is such a long movie.
I thought it was
it's so
freaking great, though.
good.
I really liked it.
It is good. It's way better than the first
Yeah, I was
one.
not really a fan of the original Blade Runner. I know a lot of people are, but it doesn't really do it for me. But yeah, 2049 is freaking great.
It makes me want to do a role-playing game in that setting.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Ryan Gosling is amazing. I want to be him for Halloween.
He's...
No, he's so good. He's
Fine.
sitting on my desk right now.
What?
Not real Ryan Gosling, but
Funko Pop, whatever thing.
yeah, Officer K. He's on my desk right now. And my computer desktop is Officer K in downtown LA with the neon
man.
lights. It's so good.
You got yourself ready.
I really like Blade Runner 2049.
That movie, I think, had some of the best sound I can remember hearing in a really long time. Just like,
Yes.
it's the music and like the way all the technology, like the atmosphere, it was just really great.
Yeah, and that's what it's known for. Blade Runner's always been known for the atmosphere, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
Like, this was the movie where I got it. This movie felt to me the way I talk about this movie, the way that other people talk about the original. So, like,
My favorite thing about the new Blade Runner is just like the little hints that they sprinkle in as to like what the world is like now.
Yeah.
San Diego is a huge garbage dump. I laughed so
Yeah.
hard
Oh
in the
my-
movie theater. Like, it was hilarious.
When I saw the levees like off the coast of Los Angeles, I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit, the water level must be super high now.
And that it's snowing.
Yes. I was just like, oh damn it. I almost want future Los Angeles. I want a little snow.
I just want a little snow and a hologram girlfriend, and then I'm good. No more dystopia. This, as you might imagine, was very difficult to judge.
Was it, though?
Due to no small part,
So defeated.
I will say, Liz, you put up an exceptionally good argument given the amount of undeserved psychological torment you've been put through in the last hour or so.
Liz, yeah, I thought the thing about the companions was a really good point. I did not think of that, yeah.
Yes, you all did really great jobs defending them and defending against the various levels of psychological torment that were being thrust against you, although Liz had considerably more to defend against. In the end, I have to give it to old Han Solo.
Yeah.
Yup.
I think that Rick Deckard, for all his cleverness and independence, doesn't show the same level of physical fitness, I guess, that would actually be needed to get through this in the way that Indy and Han do. And while Indiana Jones is great, his fight scenes do tend to be kind of wacky and unpredictable and like Rube Goldbergian in a way that like Han Solo just kind of walks in and shoots people and walks out, which I think is going to be a little more efficient when it comes to rescuing the president. So I give it to Han Solo, but hats off. My fedora is off to all three of you for a terrific job tonight.
No toasted cheese for Deckard.
That's right.
So, by the way, you guys know the theory about how, it's the dumb fan theory, how since the first Indiana Jones movie came out after Empire, but before Return of the Jedi, that it's supposed to be a dream that Han Solo is having while he's in Carbonite.
Oh, I think I have heard that.
I've heard that,
Yeah.
yeah. Aren't there, like, carvings of C-3PO and R2 in that movie somewhere?
Oh, really?
Or is that in Temple of
maybe.
Doom?
That's the thing. And then, like, yeah, the way to incorporate Crystal Skull is that it's when he's starting to wake up at the end, and so he's starting to remember, like, space and aliens, and so it's starting to find its way into the vision.
Just the concept of space. He's like, wait
Wait
a minute.
space, yeah.
That's where I'm from.
That makes the Crystal Skull seem way more enjoyable, actually. I'm happy I just found out about this.
Yeah, and now my fan theory is that Han Solo's life is dreams that Rick Deckard is having that are actually like implants that he got, and they actually give it away in the director's cut of Blade Runner 2049. It just came out on Blu-ray. There's like Edward James Olmos shows up at his like doorstep at the end of the movie and drops off an origami Millennium Falcon. So it's pretty clear. I think the signs are all there.
Wow. And then he spins a top at the end and you realize that even Rick Deckard is in a dream.
I like all of that.
It was all his character from The Expendables. Anyway.
I don't like that.
Tom, Bo, the kid, thanks. Oh, old school. So first of all, we've got some new fan art and memes from Cosplay Fiend, Faye Scott Kersey, and Andrew Young on our website. So check those out. And
What are they?
I believe One of the Cosplay Fiends meme was in regards to the Phantom of the Opera Sweeney Todd match. I don't want to spoil them. Go to the website.
All right. Go check out our website for those dank memes that you all crave.
Just go to fan art and go to the art and go to the memes. And
that's at smashfictionpodcast.com?
Why, yes, Stan, it is.
I'm just trying to help out the audience here.
No, you did a good job.
Aw, thanks. I'm a good little promoting boy.
You are. Okay, and on Twitter, thank you to the Shattered Worlds RPG podcast, who said we're their fave actual play podcast. Very sweet.
So nice.
Thank you. High praise. Thank you to Daniel Blake, Jake the Fake Irish Wristwatch. Oh, wait, no, I want to say your
He has a new
thing.
one, yeah.
He does. Cake the Fake Jake, Cake Jake Faked Cake. Boom!
Man!
Thank you. Thank you to Matias Tatimes, Indiana53. Sorry, I tried, bro. Florian, Sean Boyd, Cosplay Fiend, Jose Luis Solorzano. Sorry, your name is hard even for me. I'm a bad Latina. Hayden, whom time forgot, Vander Turner, Eugenia Says, Tyler Purple Milkshake, Andrew Young, Rafael Medina, and Mike Booch. And thank you to the people on Tumblr, FatBlunt69.
Of course.
Jeep Rhyme. No, wait. Jeep Rhyme blogs us every week. I want to make sure their name is heard.
Always appreciated.
Yes. Pizamon, Sid Rabbit Blog, Gene Hackmon, great name, Changing Shades, and Secretly a Skeleton Shh. And on Facebook, thank you to Tom Groh, Sharon Schneiderman, and Robert Ramsey. And lastly, thank you again to the You, Me, and Duffy podcast. Woo! They are currently doing their March Nerdness thing. Godspeed. I think Duffy told me that he has even more respect for what we do now that he's done it.
And that is a kind of debate game that they are playing on their game show, where they are doing what we do and throwing comic book characters against each other and arguing about who would win.
Oh boy.
Why did you start with comics? It's always the hardest.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing it a little differently from us. They're much nicer than us. But you should check them out.
Listen, we have our brand. We can't back down now.
Our Wasty brand, yes. Especially this episode. Oof.
But we also did want to thank son of President James Marshall, Adam Mayo, who was our featured patron this particular episode because he donated at $1 or more every month. In addition to...
No, Mr. Adam Mayo, please let us know which of these Fords you would prefer to have as your daddy.
Yeah, good question. Well, he can actually be the one who judges who won the lightning round. I'm gonna guess probably not Rick Deckard, but maybe he's into that sort of thing. Yeah. Maybe he's into making toasted cheese sandwiches in Las Paca Vegas,
Apoca Las Vegas.
Apoca Las Vegas, thank you, sorry. We also wanted to thank all of our patrons who voted to make this particular match a possibility. Once every couple of months, we send out a poll so that our $5 and up patrons can vote on which of several matches they want to see made into an episode, and this is the one that they chose. A suggestion, which was partially suggested to us, I might add, by Blue Perry, who suggested that we do Han Solo versus Indiana Jones, and eventually, thanks largely to Claire, it was spun out into this nonsense. So thank you to all involved in putting this particular bit of alchemy together.
I totally forgot she was the one who suggested that.
But I made him old.
You sure did. And one last thing, we also have a brand spanking new iTunes review that I would like to share. This one comes to us from someone named either Cracked Fool or possibly Craked Fool. It's spelled in a non-traditional way, so I'm not entirely sure which one it is. But they give us 5 stars in a review titled, Sweet Doom Almighty Yes. I first found this podcast when trying to solve a dispute with my wife about who would win between Gandalf and Dumbledore.
Oh, wow.
Even though I lost that argument, I was hooked. 6 weeks later, and I can safely say that this has moved to the forefront of my playlist.
Aww.
All the arguments are well thought out and presented, rebuttals are given in quick and sometimes concise succession, and the added bonus of League tops things off as a new favorite of not only mine, but the missus as well. Keep up the stellar work.
Awesome.
So, thank you very much for that. We always appreciate hearing your reviews, particularly where other people can see it. That's always nice.
Thank you.
Did any of you guys have anything else you wanted to say before we hang this one up?
I am sorry for anyone else who likes Rick Deckard. I don't know if I did a good job, but I feel like I was honest.
You did a tremendous job, Liz. The lightning round, maybe not, but it was entertaining. So, thank you so much for listening to this particularly old and ridiculous episode of Smash Fiction. Next week, we are releasing the 27th episode of Extraordinary League. And then the week after that, our episode will be Jack Harkness versus Jack Sparrow. Smash Fiction is produced by Miles Schneiderman and production assistant Sharon Schneiderman, with logo design by Claire Mulcairn.
Special thanks to Kevin MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod at Incompetech.com for our theme song, Hitman.
You can find us on Twitter at SmashFic Podcast and search for the Smash Fiction Podcast on Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube.
Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice, and if you leave us a good review, we shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Smash Fiction is made possible thanks to our supporters on Patreon at patreon.com/smashfictionpodcast. Please consider donating as little as $1 each month. It helps us keep the show going, and we have great rewards and extra content for those who help us out.
If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other contributions, send them to us at smashfictionpodcast@gmail.com and help us continue the fight.
Can I just say that when we were watching Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Kid and I came up with an AU in which the prairie dog becomes the Hulk, and then Indiana Jones becomes his Rick Jones, and becomes the little thing sidekick. So, just letting you know, that's out there in the wind.
Waiting on you, Marvel Comics.
Wait,
right.
if Indiana Jones and Rick Deckard did a fusion dance, would they make Rick Jones?
That's what I'm saying.
Sorry, my lizard just attacked me. What are you, a Deckard fan? Why are you giving me grief? Why did you just jump on me?
Yeah, Finn is very specific about which version of Blade Runner you need to watch. He will not tolerate that voiceover in his house.